Hi everybody, I'm finally back. I am Lady Stars and Fire, and this is the weekly healing messages for November 27th through December 4th. Wow, we're already at the end of the year. I've been gone for like a little over a month. I had been making the videos all the time. If you'd been following me before, and I've disappeared for like a month. I had caught bronchitis, then I was moving, then the phone died, and so very much has happened. But I'm finally back, and the weekly healing messages are back as well. So let's get caught up to speed. Anyway, I'm not going to be going over the runes in this video because there's just way too much to talk about. But you can check back on Facebook, or I might even make another video, but I have a feeling I'm just going to post it on Facebook this week. While I get caught back up with everything that's been changing in my life as well. So you can check for the runes on Facebook. They will be there. Because I'm only going to give you the information I was given from Spirit, as well as what I'm seeing in astrology for this week. Again, November 27th through December 4th. Let me start off with saying what Spirit is giving me, basically for this week, and kind of the whole month of December. But I'm getting it for this week. But like I said, it's kind of flowing into the whole month of December as we approach the new year. Is what we're getting or going through or coming into in our own soulful maturity, basically, is like a higher self is speaking to us on a different, a newer, a higher soulful perspective is somewhat what is going on. It's about finding a better, a proper balance that truly works more with that higher and soul perspective. And what's going on is we're seeing a change in how we view love and hope and faith, and seeing it for a little bit more of a truer, pure, more honest level, basically. And what's going to be going on with that at this time is it's also helping us to learn to notice and to break attachments that we've had and addictions, addictive natures in general, that isn't exactly, helpful for us, where we get attached to things and we don't realize we're attached to things, where it's an addictive nature within us that we need to break so that we do evolve and move forward in a more healthy way. Sorry, like I said, I'm still kind of getting over the bronchitis a little bit. But let me give you an example before I move any further, is because you've heard the story or the saying, if you love something, set it free. And if it's meant to be, it will return. Now, we've all heard that. And in theory, we understand what it means. In theory. Okay, but what I'm trying to get at is they were explaining to me a situation that I just recently went through with my move. And maybe this will help make you see it in a different, higher perspective of what love really is. Forgiveness and the oneness of all of that really is. Because, like I said, sometimes we do some of the worst things with the best intentions. And this is where we get confused with where love and attachment are not the same. Or an addictive nature is actually overwhelming us and making us do something that would not be quite as positive, or such a higher level of love, a truer level of love than what we should be maybe doing. And I'm going to break it down from what was explained to me because of a situation I just went through. Now, like I said, I just moved. And most of you who follow me know I've had my outside furry babies that I take care of for years and years and years. Some of them come and go. And then I've had one specific feral cat that's been with me for years. Now, I love her. I do. But she couldn't come with us. And let me explain this on what they're finally getting me to understand a little bit better about when you love something, you set it free. This feral cat has been with me at least 7 years outside. She loves me. I love her. I mean, I feed them. I've taken care of them. I had raccoons I took care of. I had skunks I took care of. But this one cat had been with me longer than any of them. I could pick her up. She'd sit in my lap. I could pet her. She loved me. As long as I didn't pick her up and carry her anywhere. She'd come sit next to me, let me pet her. She'd purr. She'd enjoy her food. She'd even come in the house and eat food on the rainy days and whatnot. But because it was all by her decision. I didn't make her do anything. That's what friendship is. Honoring each other, respecting each other. Now, the thing is, when we moved, yeah, I can pet her, I could pick her up. I could have picked her up and brought her with me. I could have, sorry, my other cat, Neptune. Say hi, Neptune. I could have brought her with us. I could have picked her up. I could have forced her to come with us. But that would have, Neptune, that would have only been benefiting me, not her. See, because in my eyes, I want to see it as I could take her with us. She's an older cat. I could protect her. I could feed her. I could take care of her. And in my eyes, I would be loving her. But she's been a feral all of her life. She's been free. She's been able to do whatever she pleases, and nobody can make her do anything. Even though she was my friend and she'd come over and let me hug on her and love her and pick her up, but I wouldn't take her anywhere. I'd just like pick her up and put her on my lap. If I took her, I basically would have been taking her freedom away and putting her in a cage. So, truthfully, giving her her freedom and leaving her behind is the higher perspective. It's the better love. It's not me being attached to her. I still go back to the house and feed her. So does the neighbors. And they still are feeding her, and so am I. So, again, it's like they say, if you love something, set it free. And if it's meant to be, it will return. You can't force love. And sometimes the best decisions we think we're making are actually some of the worst. This is what I'm talking about, of a higher perspective of what the truth of love is. And we're going through a lot of this right now because of what's going on in astrology. And I will get into that once I hit astrology, because we're going through a lot of soulful awareness right now, a lot of soulful connection, a lot of soulful boundaries and the questions of why. It's soul searching, basically. And if you're going through that, pretty much you're exactly where you should be. Now, Spirit also gives me for the week, hi Neptune. The Spirit also gives us, I'm hoping you know what I'm talking about. Also gives us, you see it more when you think of like Scotland or England, but you think of family crests. And what they're showing me are like the family crests with the lion on it. So this could deal with with lion medicine. This could also deal with spirit guides of lion medicine. But I feel, because they're showing me it more in like the family crests, or like what you would see on old shield battle wear with the lions that are on them. I feel like this is connecting more soulfully with you know, past lives and your family relation and who you are on a deeper level, like all of the families that have come to create you, basically, on that maturity of your heritage. I feel like it's coming in. So this brings me to, in fact, it brings me to the runes of placing it under like the idea of Othal and of Fei Wu. However, I haven't checked the runes, but I do see Fei Wu in the air anyway. But I feel like it's coming in those energies. But anyway, I'm being shown the family crests with the lions. And so that may have something to do with you directly. Either way, I'm just passing on what I'm being told. I'm also being told this month, as we enter December, has a lot to do with the lotus flower. And some of you know what the lotus flower is and what it means, and some of you don't. I'm seeing it in a pinkish purple too, which also has to do with the sensitivity, has to do with hope, has to do with faith, and has to do with the psychic energy as well. But the lotus flower is known for basically being a beautiful flower that blooms up and out of the muddy, murky water, which means basically this is the blooming, the new dawning, the better that is coming, the beautiful that is coming, but it's coming from out of that muddy, murky water as it rises up above it. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that as we go through the month of December. Now, for this week in general, I'm being given, under alchemy, I'm being given the symbol of antimony. It's a metal. But this, because there's so much that you could talk about it, but I'm breaking it down into smaller levels because of the video. I'm being given the metal and the symbol of the antimony. And it is a metal, but it's a metal that is considered a cooperative metal. It works better with other metals. So it's speaking to us about cooperating. It's also speaking to us on spiritual levels of teaching us of wisdom and of strength, as well as our own personal human wild nature versus our animal power. It's also a symbol or a metal that is known to be worn to help the meek be a little less timid, to help them stand up for themselves a little bit more. It speaks to us of give and take, and what give and take honestly means, the balance in that. But antimony also speaks to us because its number actually is 51. And I posted on Facebook earlier and on Twitter and every place else, the number 51 and information about this metal antimony. So it helps us on a spiritual nature of understanding what it is the Spirit is teaching us. And for those of you who have heard me over and over again, talk about you got your lightning. For those of you who are getting what the lightning means, antimony is speaking to us on a deeper level of what that is. Because the lightning itself is your spiritual nature connected with soul, connected with the universe, connected with the Creator, God. It's the conductor of that very energy. And the lightning comes from within. It's where that powering is. But the antimony is speaking of a very important power that comes within that lightning. So if you got lightning and you know what we're talking about here, then you'll understand, because I've said it in a couple other videos and I'm still learning how to go over that in a much more powerful way. Now, as I move into astrology, I'm going to explain the astrology, but this week really feels, because for some reason I'm seeing just like a line, like going back and forth, and it's not there in astrology. It's what Spirit's putting there. And I just really feel like the energy is kind of like Leo versus Aquarius. Like all things are going to come in somehow in that energy of Leo versus Aquarius. Because Aquarius is, I like to call Aquarius the rebel. Aquarius is the the fireworks. It is, you never quite know what's going to be coming with Aquarius. Aquarius is ready to take on the world, to take on town hall. It's the balls to step out, the rebel within, and let's break free and start to do things our way, basically. And Leo speaks to us of Leo the lion. It's the courage, but it's also, the king of the jungle. It also speaks to us of our creativity, but it also speaks to us of, the king of the jungle being in a sense of you're responsible for your kingdom. It's not just about being prideful, basically, and having the courage and the power to go with that and the fire behind it. But it's also about doing it for the right reasons. It's like I say often to people when I talk to them, I'm like, a kingdom is only as good as its king is. If you have a crappy king, then you're going to have a crappy kingdom. And that goes for anything, work-related, family, home, presidency. I mean, it goes for anything. If you have a crappy king, you're going to have a kingdom that's not quite as well in order. And this is what the Leo stands for. It's being more particular about making sure that the kingdom is taken care of. That's the king's job. And that comes with the king of the jungle from the lion. Now, I feel like I said, it's going to be that Leo and Aquarius kind of bouncing back and forth off of each other energies this week. We're seeing a lot of karmic lessons come in. A lot of karma in general is written all over this month as we overcome these soulful lessons. And that has a lot to do with where Uranus being in retrograde. Uranus is in retrograde, and I've been saying for months, this is the last retrograde it's going to have in Aries before it moves to Taurus. And these lessons, it's trying to teach you about your independence, your individuality, your freedom, your uniqueness, your inventiveness. These are the last times it's going to be able to teach you what you're not seeing for 65 years. Because it won't be all the way back around to start this cycle again for another 65 to 70 years. So if you don't learn this now, you're not gonna. Saturn moves every 2 years. And then through all of the 12 signs. Saturn is about to leave Sagittarius, and it's sitting right on top of Mercury, basically, as far as degrees go. And it's about to move into Capricorn, but the movement into Capricorn right now is not what's really important, because these last 2 weeks, it moves on the 19th, a little over 2 weeks, but until it moves on the 19th, it's giving you its last messages that it's been trying to teach you for the last 2.5 years. Well, it's been there. Saturn is all about rules, boundaries, and the walls we create. So Saturn is speaking to our 9th house in Sagittarius, which is our higher self, our soulful perspective, our higher knowledge, our psychic energies, our religion, our philosophy. This comes to soul self, is what it's speaking to us on, with Saturn's rules, boundaries, and walls as to why. Why are you the way you are? Why is it that it's important for you to understand why? Okay, these are the things that is going on. It's getting into a deeper, higher perspective, a higher soul understanding of why we do the things we do. And are those boundaries, those rules, those walls that we've created for ourselves, are they working? Why? And are they not working? And why did we create them the way we did, especially if they're not working? This all has to do with us learning how to understand that soul connection and evolving. And over these next 2.5 weeks until the 19th, Saturn is going to be really coming down on you, because it's not going to be back in Sagittarius to learn these lessons again for another 25 years. So you've got Uranus speaking to you about over 65 to 70 years away before these lessons are coming back in. And Saturn's messages aren't coming back until another 25. So this is why it's hitting so emotionally right now. That soulful connection, that soul searching, the questions of why and needing to understand why in the first place. Of why you created it. So you might be seeing walls and boundaries that you didn't even know you created. And then starting to receive the answers as why. Is what I'm explaining. And like I said, these messages are going to be coming in so drastically right now because, like I said, Saturn's not going to be back to teach this lesson in Sagittarius for your higher self, your higher soulful learning, your religious reasons, and why it is you think and act the way you do soulfully for another 25 years. This is its last chance, and it's definitely connecting with Uranus right now about your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, and your freedom. They're having major conversations. So this is speaking to you of karmic soul lessons. Basically, on top of all of that, on the 3rd of December, Mercury goes retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde, and so we're in that shadow energy right now until the 3rd. We're still in that shadow energy, and shadow energy is going to be showing you typically some darker things that you're not maybe wanting to face. It makes us a little, when we're in retrograde too, when Mercury is in retrograde, we can't help it. We become a little bit more self-centered. We don't mean to be. It's just Mercury is communications, and it's no longer outward. Once it hits retrograde, communications are all inward. So it's inward evaluating what is going on with Saturn and Uranus along with everything else. But those two are really going to be having communications this month while Mercury is in retrograde. So you can't help but to be a little bit more self-centered because you're inward evaluating. It's not like you don't mean to care about people. You're just also trying to care about you. So you got to remember to, sometimes pull yourself out of that a little bit so that you're not being in a negative communicative way with others, basically, because it's easy to accidentally get that way when you're in retrograde, or Mercury is. Now, as I go into the positives this week, like I said, you've got Uranus is in retrograde. Again, 65 years before these lessons will come back in. Independence, individuality, freedom, uniqueness, inventiveness. It's in retrograde. It's all speaking to us of where it is we're not showing this quite as well. And how can we create it? Because it's in Aries. It's in the 1st house, which is your core energy. It's speaking to your very core about how it is that you're not necessarily developing this outwardly as well, so that you can. So your core can be seen and you can shine for what it is you truly are. Now, it is trining, again, like I said, it is trining, which is a positive thing. It is trining Saturn and Mercury this week. So everything I've been talking about, you've got your core energy, you've got your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, speaking to your walls, your rules, your boundaries. Why? And then communicating outwardly as we turn inwardly from the shadow and into retrograde of how we soulfully make this right, basically. And it's a very positive thing. But sometimes these positive energies could come in kind of like I said, just hit you hard. But if it didn't hit hard, it wouldn't be getting its point across. It wouldn't be teaching you anything because it's got to soulfully connect. If this is also going to be messing with your chakras. It's going to be messing with your heart chakra. It's going to be messing with your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, because this all has to do with aligning you up to a higher perspective. Okay? So these are going to be slightly out of whack as they're being re-cleansed. And blocks are being unblocked. So you're going to have pretty much from all of these energies are going to be getting hit so that they can start to realign on a higher perspective. And I always say, take your solar plexus and make it the first one leading you and make everything lead straight to that solar plexus. So you're always coming into an even balance, basically, as you move forward, because that solar plexus is where the magic actually can be created. The hope comes from your heart. The belief comes from your crown. The being able to speak it comes from your throat. But you've got to be able to have that solar plexus have the power to pull you through it. And you've got to have the forgiveness and the strength of standing on your own from your lower 2 chakras. Now, again, Pallas is also sitting very closely, because they're both in retrograde, to Uranus. So these energies are incredibly powerful right now in our core energy of our 1st house, universally. And it is speaking to the North Node in Leo. Like I said, you got a lot of energy going on with Leo and Aquarius. Just that back and forth energy. And it's also speaking to Ceres. Ceres is the energy of too close to home. It is Mother Nature and Mother Nature's karma. What you put out is what you're going to get back. It also speaks to us of the earth itself and the nurturing and the parenting, like the Mother Earth thing, but of our own life. And are we getting the proper nourishment? Did we get the proper nourishment? Are we learning from the karma from it, or are we acting the same? Did we learn anything from that karma? Because Ceres also speaks to us, like I said, about the nurturing that is needed, but it also shows us, you know, about abandonment. It speaks to us about child security. It speaks to us about nurturing, I mean, like diet. It speaks to us about child custody. I mean, and this may be also you working with things from your past. I mean, possibly abandonments from family members as well. So this has to do with the karma coming in of understanding where maybe the nourishment wasn't, but it's time to evolve and be better than that and move forward. Okay, even though we're learning, like I said, some of the worst things in the world were ever done was done with the best intentions. Sometimes it's all about knowing, like I said with the cat, of you have to know if you love something, you got to set it free because you got to do what's best for that person. And a lot of times we just do screwed up shit because Ceres is sitting so close to the North Node in Leo, which is talking to us about evolving and doing better, like he said, about doing the right thing for the kingdom as well as being a good king, basically, and then having the creative power to make that so. But the North Node speaks to us about being able to move forward in life. We can't move forward in life unless we're shown the things that we need to overcome to move forward in. And this is what the North Node and Ceres are speaking to us about. And it is basically, like I said, speaking to Uranus, Pallas. Pallas is our warrior goddess. Pallas is known as the wise. She's connected with the owl. She, strategic thinking of learning how to do it in the intelligent way as well. And then that is bouncing straight on right back over and speaking to Saturn and Mercury. So this is a lot of soulful working going forward from our creative universal 5th house of creativity as to our 9th house of our soulfulness and our psychic energy and our higher knowledge, and into Uranus, which is our core. And believe me, even though Jupiter isn't doing a lot of talking here, Jupiter is magnifying it. Trust me. Jupiter is magnifying it, and he's bringing abundance into the whole thing right now because of his connection with the sign itself of Sagittarius. So trust me, that energy of Jupiter is hiding in there. That's why I said you're feeling that Leo Aquarius, because Uranus is in that energy as well. Now, we also have in positive energies. It's a positive thing, but it's about overcoming it and learning and spiritually moving forward, as well as learning to love yourself while you learn how to do it properly. Venus is trining Chiron, which is your wounded healer. That's what all of this is about. Chiron is the 12th house. You can't move forward and start the new house until you've learned and until you've started to heal those wounds. And Venus is talking to us about our sensitivity. Sensitivity isn't always a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either. Sensitivity is what teaches us how we charm our way into getting what it is we're charming our way into getting. It teaches us what we love, what we like, what feels good. If you love your furry covers, if you love your candles, I mean, that would be your Venus speaking to you. But at the same time, when you put your hand in a hot oven and you pull out cookies that have been cooking to 365 degrees and you burn the shit out of your hand, that's Venus telling you this shit's not good for you either. Venus is your senses. She is not love. She speaks to you about your senses of what is good and what is bad. Okay? And she's speaking to Chiron right now, which is your wounded healer and helping you overcome them. So she's working with that energy. Now, you do have Vesta and Jupiter, which is also speaking directly with Uranus and Pallas. Told you Jupiter is in there. And Jupiter is sitting on top of Vesta right now, and they're all in Scorpio. Hello. Scorpio is just more intense energy in the first place, along with mystery. It's like Clue. It's like the game Clue meets intensity of emotions, basically, so that you could overcome it in positive ways. Vista is your fire. It's your very fire. What is your core fire energy speaking to you about? Where is the heart and the soul? Vista is going to be speaking to Jupiter with that conversation, talking directly to Uranus. And Pallas on how to bring that up and out of you and your core energy, as well as this is also all speaking to that 8th house, which is what relationships own. So it's speaking about the relationships that you have with people, places, things, family as well, but it could be work related as well. This is relationships. Relationships don't belong in one area. If you have a relationship with your money, when you have no money, you know all about your relationship with that no money. If you have no car, you know all about your relationship with not having a car. It's people, places, things. Okay, relationships are not just human beings. But when we're talking about these relationships, it speaks to us about what it is they own. Okay, and it's talking about your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your strategic thinking. And it's talking about Jupiter magnifying it. So this is all, like I said, it's moving into a positive way, but these kinks have to be worked out before the positivity really is going to truly start to show and bring what is about to come for the next year. And it's going to be a good year, but you've got to always work through those kinks before those positive aspects and prosperity can come. Now, the challenges for this week is back to Mercury and Saturn. That communication, your walls, your boundaries, and your rules is speaking also to Chiron. And where this is a good thing, it's a challenging thing, because Chiron is going to be pointing out that wounded healer area of where you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to talk about it. You want to bury it and you want to forget about it. And Chiron's not going to let you do it. Chiron is going to force you to deal with these things right now. And that's why it's called a challenge. Nobody said it was easy. This is why I said overcoming these are going to be difficult. But this is all about soulfully moving forward so that that 12th house can move into being healed and move forward into new. But you want to make sure you're being honest. We are talking about Pisces. And Pisces energy, Pisces is loving. It's creative. It wants to believe. It wants to believe in good things. But Pisces energy has a problem with understanding sometimes people are not always as good as you hope they would be. So sometimes you really truly have to be honest with the fact